and welcome to Fragadamu. What is the state of participation of women and girls in science like in this country? My guest, Professor Yalemtsehay Mekonnen, herself one of the leading female scientists, was very much seized by the matter early on, and she became the driving force in the creation of the Society of Ethiopian Women in Science and Technology. Have they made any difference? A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Let's put things in context. How many female students are you supervising at your graduate school at the Addis Ababa University?
Okay, currently I only have one female student that I co-advise. She's from the Department of Microbial, Cellular and Molecular Biology. So I'm very proud to have at least one. In the past years, there were many male. And of course, I had also the opportunity to advise female students who are now,
Just one?
Just one.
Does that make sense? I would have thought otherwise.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, I would rather have more female students, given the fact that female enrollment in higher education has increased in the last 2 decades. But the females that, go to the graduate program, the master's and PhD program, is always, inverted, the pyramid, symbolically we say there's a pyramid because they enter in large numbers, but those who achieve and who finish even the first degree are limited in number. And going to the graduate program, it requires, funding, sponsorship. I think that is the reason why we don't get as many female candidates enrolling in the graduate program, especially at the tertiary level, the PhD program.
What does it tell about female students who are bent on studying science and engineering, math, and so on? Do you talk to them? Do you do that conversation?
Yeah, since I've been in the academics for 40 plus years, so when I have the opportunity having female students in the undergraduate program, I always encourage them to finish their education, finish the first degree, and then to be, really hardworking, and then to look up to, good role models. So that's why I do informally. But if I take the formal involvement that I had in the past years, is that because of the involvement of female academics and also young academics, female staff in the different universities in Ethiopia, some 13 years ago, a society has been established, the Society of Ethiopian Women in Science and Technology. And one of the objectives of this society is to make sure that we encourage and, also motivate girls in schools, having different programs, Science Day, and also, giving them opportunity to come to us freely, to come to open university events and so on and so forth. So I think I can talk about it in more detail.
Well, it's interesting that you raised it because I was headed into that. You created a society, 13 years ago. Were you encouraging young female students who've made it to college to come and talk to you, or you reach out to them? Is that how it goes?
Actually, the society was intended for the female academics, the female staff in the universities. And if I go to the history of the establishment of the society, it is the minister of the then minister, the woman minister, if I call her name, was Rodamitu. She called some of us women and also men as ad hoc committee, and she told us that it's good to establish a society that could address the problem of, the young females who should be encouraged to be good academics in teaching, research, and then, go to the higher level, because most of the female staff, most of them, they don't even had a PhD degree. I'm talking about 13 plus years. So that was the intention of the society. But when we discussed about the objective of the society, okay, we can encourage the female academics in the different universities in Ethiopia, and then create networking, and then, help them be good academics, learning from the seniors, having a kind of a mentorship, association and a mentorship linkage of the young with the seniors. But we said we have to also have an outreach to girls in schools.
You mean outside of college?
Outside of college, like, for example, in high schools, and then, go and visit them, and also create an event, a platform where they can come and, look at the different, things that happen in the universities. But the way we have done this, I can't claim that we have done good in this endeavor because of the distance of the universities, and
they're all spread out across the country, and you're a very small organization.
Yeah, but what we did was, after establishing the society legally, following the legal regulation of the country, what we did was every year, with the support of the then Ministry of Science and Technology, and then support by the German government, GIZ. So we were able to have an annual meeting where we had different themes of the conference, of the annual meeting. For example, one of the first meetings of the society was on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So what we did then was to invite some young girls from schools. It was not that representative, but at least we were able to bring some young girls to the conference. And then they were able to listen to these senior women professionals. So we visited even pensioned chemists were a teacher in the university, Addis Ababa University, a chemist, a geologist, a physicist, all women in the STEM. So they presented their experience, and then that was one event. It's not enough, but at least we were able to do that. Every year we had different themes.
But you were able to build on that?
Unfortunately, there's not that continuity as we wish it to be.
Why?
Okay, that is a good question. The first thing is, as you know, when you have an organization, a society, the first thing is there could be commitment and also funding that is sustainable. So we couldn't continue in that line, strictly in that line, but at least for the ones in the university, the female academics, we were members of the society. If I can cite one example, what I and my colleagues did was, since I belong to a fellowship, a German institution, Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, I'm a fellow of that foundation. So there is a project. You can apply, for a project or a proposal where you can compete for an alumni project. So what I did, and my other colleagues as well, have applied for this award in 2018, creating a project that says networking female academics in Ethiopia. So what we did at the higher level, at least, because the society focused mainly on the female academics. Although, we have to go down to the grassroots, the young girls.
You need kind of a feeder program.
Yeah, kind of that. So what we did was, this project has an objective of creating a website of the society so that they can network, virtually, of course. You don't have to have always a meeting physically, thanks to the technology. So establishing a website, and also at least we wanted to have one training program, how to write scientific paper. If you have women, the girls or the ladies in the university who are young teachers, if they have a project, a research project, and they have some data, but they didn't yet publish it, so we have made a call, and then about 54 or 55 applicants have appeared, and then we have screened, and we gave for 15 ladies or female academics from the different universities of Ethiopia who are members of society, at least one training, how to convert the research data to publishable scientific paper. So it's just one endeavor, It's not enough. Yeah. So that was 2019. So as all of us know, 2020 came with that bad pandemic, and then that had maybe, psychologically or emotionally made us a little bit, weaker, in organizing different similar events, similar in trainings or workshops or seminars.
Does that mean that you no longer exist?
We exist. We definitely exist. In fact, I was the first president of the society, but now as a senior, I advise. Of course, I'm a member, but we have now new members who are going to also initiate such programs, like going to schools or, creating a kind of a club, a STEM club, because we hear in different universities there is a STEM a STEM, dedicated STEM kind of association.
And there are also private initiatives related to STEM too.
To STEM, the STEM Power, if you know about it. So I think, initiatives are here and there. So what lacks is, I think, bringing everything to, a sustainable kind of format, and then also make sure that, our passion is not lost, So we begin something and then we don't follow it.
So you're talking about some kind of an umbrella organization that would be able to galvanize support for this sector, particularly for women, female students, academics who want to excel in their field, in science and so on?
Maybe.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, since I'm in the higher education, so it's very difficult to address everything, One has to leave, the mandate to those concerned government and non-government boards. You cannot handle everything, but at least show something that can work, that can be sustainable. So at this point in our discussion, I can bring the Ethiopian Academy of Sciences, mandate or objective. As you know, the Academy tries to foster scientific culture in the country with evidence-based, studies, policy, good advice to the government, and so on and so forth. So in 2018, the Ethiopian Academy of Science, with a non-government organization in the UK, they have approached us. This organization is called International Network for Availability of Scientific Publications. I hope I did it correctly. So it's abbreviated as INASP. So they approached us because I think they have some information about the establishment of Southeast Society.
Your society.
Our society. So they have approached me and another colleague of mine. And then I took them to the academy. And the academy, because, it has relatively, good standing in funding, because it's supported by the government and other non-government, partners, non-government organization partners. So in 2018, a kind of a forum has been established. The name is Ethiopian Gender Learning Forum, EGLF. So the idea of this forum is to create equitable research system in higher research system in higher education and research institutions. And when you say equitable or equity, it involves women, obviously. So that has been established, and now it has worked. It has gathered some members from faculty members, not only women but also men. So when you say gender, it should not be skewed to only women, because that would defy the objective of involving men as partners. So,
but women are the disenfranchised lot. That's why there is specific concern about this.
Yes, that's what the objective of the society, our society.
And also, for example, the UN General Assembly, when was it that it has proclaimed February 11th as the International Day of Women and Girls, basically to provide women full and equal access and participation in science. So
the focus should always be there, because talking about equity, some people think that, what's the problem? Everything is available. But the culture and the background that we have come through the hundreds of years, still we have to work hard, to make sure that equity, the gender equity is, should be, exercised and should be put in practice. It's said that easily said than done, but, to be as much as possible, do something bit by bit, but to be on the right track, eventually, to make sure that those who are able, who have the capacity to be empowered, and then be really also be participants, leaders of research, leaders in scientific organizations, in the academia. And that's
all. With all the challenges that you mentioned, do you think that your society and people like you have made a difference in the way women get their slice of the cake, particularly in science?
Not yet, but I think there is a light, a light at the end of the tunnel, kind of, because it needs generations. But when I consider, when I started my research 30 years ago, and being in the academia for more than half of my life, even 70% of my life, So I see there is, some improvement. But to say that it is, at a good standing, it's really very hard to say that. But I see very able women, young researchers, and assertive and, capable who are doing the best they can. But there is still a lot. We have to do a lot. Yeah.
So, STEM being what it is, I guess the private sector should play an important role. Do you think so?
Yes.
The industry?
Yes.
Are they?
Not that I know of, but...
whose problem is then?
I think, from my experience and observation, I think the private sector is, I think, more kind of 1 + 1 = 2. That is a pragmatic approach. If they give the money today, maybe they want it, in 1 year's time. But research output and the benefit.
The principal consumers of those research outputs, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. There should be a lot of, I think we have to work a lot to include the private sector. There are some initiatives, I think, here and there, but maybe there is a lack of trust, or maybe they are not patient enough to invest, the money they have in research in Ethiopia. I don't know. I haven't seen any. I don't have at hand any example. But in other countries, if I take the German example, which I did my PhD and also research attachment in Germany, the industry is linked with, for example, in pharmaceuticals. The industry, they invest lots of money, and then they know that it takes time, but they have the trust. At the end of the day, something will come out that will benefit both, the consumer. Of course, they have to benefit. So there is no, free lunch. That's clear. They don't want to give them money and then wait 20 years to benefit. So I think there should be, maybe, I don't know, you can't make it overnight, but I think it is doable.
And it can be achieved.
It can be achieved, but has to be started, we should not wait until things are, in good. Everything is good, but...
Exactly. So what do you think should be done now to boost this sector, to encourage women and girls be more involved in research in science, technology, math, and so on? Yeah. What do you think should be done?
I think maybe the best thing could be, just when I think about it, maybe I need to think thoroughly about it, but...
or what comes to mind?
What comes to mind is... Okay, we have to make sure that science, the area of science, STEM, if you take the example of, for example, the fast-growing countries, they invested in science and technology, innovation, so they became, productive. So they have to also benefit those who are in this science and technology, who go into STEM. So they want to be sure that they get a job. So I think maybe giving scholarships and then attachment and making sure that if they go to this field, they will benefit. I think that kind of arrangement, a linkage between a partnership between the government and the private institutions should be there. For example, in universities, there is what's called university partnership. And then, for example, if you go to technology, they go and then they have their attachment, kind of attachment for a few months, and then they get internship, something like that, and then they make sure that they get the job, or if they excel, they get the job. So that kind of assurance, I think, kind of arrangement.
Do you think it has to be that kind of partnership, which has been in place in this country too, in some institutions? Do you think that it needs to be tweaked a little bit to meet the interests and needs of young female scholars, scientists?
Yes, I think so. It has to be... maybe give a priority to females, and also because females are, when they get married, they have family responsibility, they have to look after their children. So they have to make a favorable environment where they get, for example, they can also work at home, for example, depending on the type of the subject. They may not have to go to the office. So provide them with favorable working environment. But they have to be, of course, productive. They have to bring deliver whatever they have been given, and then The same goes wherever in Amharic, kind of, But one has to be productive. One has to excel and also deliver what I want. But it's a big problem, but I don't know. There should be some more discussion on this.
On this, yeah. I hope so. Well, good luck, and thank you very much for your thoughts on this topic. It was really a pleasure having you on my show.
Thank you so much.